All right, guys. So 2016, we win the championship with Kyrie. He leaves 2019, 2018.
He forced his way out.
Yeah, forced his way out, played with the Celtics, moved around. Like Bull mentioned, every team has gotten worse until now. And the Dallas Mavericks are headed to the finals against the Boston Celtics. Are people in Cleveland rooting for Kyrie? What do you guys think?
I think so. I'm not rooting for either team. I dislike both teams. I'm not, but I would think it's funny because at the time when Kyrie forced his way out, I remember the news broke when we were doing a show at Brown's training camp, and or maybe it was a mini camp, whatever it was. We were in Berea, and I went bananas that the Cavs were even considering trading Kyrie. It was so stupid, and I was so angry, and then I was angry at him for forcing his way out. And so I couldn't imagine that, and fans were obviously in agreement. I remember at the time thinking, there's no way I could never have imagined fans would be rooting for Kyrie. But my guess is the majority of fans will root for Kyrie, and part of it is they're playing the Celtics, and nobody's going to root for the Celtics. Earl, what say you?
I'm rooting for Kyrie because he made this city an NBA champion. He hit the biggest shot.
LeBron James made the city.
He hit the biggest shot in franchise history. That shot is by far why we won the championship. Now, granted, LeBron James is the whole reason why we was even in the NBA Finals to begin with. But for me, I got a personal bias towards everybody that was on that 2016 teams for the simple fact I'm born and raised in a city that was championship starved. Most of us, like my father died before this. My grandfather died before this. A lot of people lost a lot of people in their families before the Cavs won the championship. So to anybody that's from Cleveland, it holds sentimental value. Yeah, the Kyrie forces herself out. The things get kind of crazy. Yeah, but you know what? To each his own. Like, you got to show people grace.
Were you mad at the time?
I was pissed, yeah. But at the same time, I've always had this attitude. If you don't want to play here, cool. I'm not going to force nobody that don't want to play for one of my squads to want to play for it. If you don't want to be here, you don't. It is what it is. But I'm definitely rooting for Kyrie Irving. I respect and like Kyrie as a player.
G?
I always take the road of, when you say, are you rooting for somebody? Man, it's only I only root for the teams where I come from. Like, I only root, like, if I'm watching a game, I'm rooting for the Cleveland teams over anything. Like, that's just what it is. I don't got no secondary teams. So for me, am I personally rooting for them to win a championship? No, but I will say, I'll always say it's a good story, right? Like, I like stories. I like different things. I think Kyrie is in a better place mentally. I think he's in a better place basketball-wise. I think he's in a better place with his family life. It was looking crazy, and I'm going to be honest with you. Like, in Boston, in New York, it was looking crazy. And sometimes you find out the hard way, like, hey, man, like, when people start getting you up out of places, that ain't them. You can't say it was them in Cleveland, then it was them in Brooklyn, then it was them in Boston, and now you in Dallas. And he looked around and was like, you know what? Like, I just might want to just hoop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I just want to hoop. Like, and there's a lot of things that, I even had to learn this myself. There's lots of different things, political-wise, like, or things that I'll say, that will get on my nerves and just irk me. And I'm like, but what about this and this and this and this and this? And then I just had after you get a little older, like, you just have to be like, you know what? If I got certain opinions about certain things, obviously I'm gonna speak out if I feel like it's something that's really an injustice or something going on. But as a man, as a person, as you get older, you realize that you could do much better about giving your time or giving your energy or your money towards certain topics than just publicly saying stuff. You can actually do something about it. Yeah. And I think Kyrie is to a place now where he's like, look, I don't got to make everything public. I can go do and just be about the business that I think is important and not put everything on Front Street and get a bunch of backlash from it. So I think, he's at a better place basketball-wise, but I think he's working on his redemption story.
It's funny. His PR strategy this entire play has been just talk about basketball. Like, just don't talk about anything that's not basketball. Stick to hoops, and it's worked to incredible extents for him this entire postseason because you see on First Take and on ESPN and on NBA TV, the narrative is is Kyrie rewriting his history
Right.
book? And it's like he's just hooping.
Yeah.
Which is all we've ever kind of wanted from Kyrie, and that's deviated a bunch of different ways. What I did think was interesting, I'm not sure you guys heard this comment, but Jamal Crawford was asked about this on, I think it was on Gilbert Arenas' show. And he said if Kyrie wins a title with Dallas, it could, and his word was exactly, it could mean more to him than the title in Cleveland did because of how far he had fallen off from the pedestal he was on when he was there.
I mean, I can understand that.
I don't like hearing it,
Like
but I understand
I can
it.
see it from a certain perspective of, Kyrie is 32 years old, and as Kyrie has grown and matured as a man, which a lot of people didn't really want to give him room for human error or room just to grow. People forget he's 32. As a man, no matter what your race is, you really don't start maturing until you get up there in age, right? And so I think that because of everything that he went through, and like for him to have to come back from that, I can understand. It's like almost like a redemption tour, right? It's one of those.
Let me ask you because, obviously one of the big things was some of the comments that he made during, the time when he was at Brooklyn. And you being, a person that's Jewish, right, and that watches sports and you watch some of these things, how have you felt about his sort of metamorphosis and where you was at for now and then? And
I like that he's not talking about other things right now. I mean, although I think it's fine to talk about other things, he's never apologized for any of the comments he made. He said a lot of things that were hurtful. He said a lot of things that were dangerous. When you talk about anti-Semitic things, it's dangerous. When you spread conspiracy theories, as he did, it's dangerous because you're a celebrity and you influence people. And if you influence people to make dangerous to themselves or others decisions, that's bad. And so I got a big problem with that. I am always someone who is willing to forgive. Now, I don't know him. He doesn't need to get my approval, ultimately. But for me personally, no, I don't feel any better about him because he has never apologized for any of the hurtful and harmful things he said. And not just the anti-Semitic comments that he made, but in terms of some conspiracy theories that he's brought up. I'm not going to get into them. People know what I'm talking about. And they're dangerous when people spread conspiracy theories. And so I got a problem with that. Ultimately, I can look at him as, I can separate, just like I've said with Deshaun Watson and others, that in recent years I've gone to the place where I separate the person. I don't have to like the person to respect the player. I always did like Kyrie, even though I didn't know him, obviously. And I would like to like Kyrie. And, if he apologized for some of the things he said, if he came out even in the future and said, hey, I said some things in the past, they were really stupid, I shouldn't have said it, I didn't know what I was talking, I'd be like, great, I'm okay with that. But in terms of the basketball player, he's always been a phenomenal player, but he's always gotten in his own way by distractions and by injury. The injury's obviously not his fault. And they've hurt his career to some degree. But watching Kyrie play for the Cavaliers is one of the most fun things I think any of us have ever seen in our time covering Cleveland sports. Mm-hmm. And for you guys who were born here and raised here, Kyrie was super. Even when the Cavs sucked, the only thing you had in those years between LeBron was Kyrie was fun to watch. That was it.
To this day, terrible. Regardless of what team he's on, watching Kyrie Irving is must-see TV in terms of basketball. He's a basketball savant, a wizard, a magician. Things he does with the basketball, he is truly in a one-of-one category. You talk about, hey, he's good at this, and this other players can do that. And no, the stuff Kyrie Irving does with the basketball, his finishing, the ability to use his left hand to take floaters over like Rudy Gobert, running to his right. It is unmatched by everyone else in the league.
It is amazing. And his size, his ability to
and he's
finish.
Not that big, and he's not like, he's lightning quick, but he's not the quickest. And he's fast, but he's not the fastest. But the way he can handle the ball without ever losing composure, and the way he could adjust his body to stay square to the basket regardless of the situation, is stuff that I've never seen anyone else ever do before.
His body control for a guard might be the best ever.
Yeah. To add to your point, though, he's blossomed into everything that LeBron James said that he could be while he was here in Cleveland. He knows how to be the facilitator. He also knows how to play off ball. But I think the biggest thing is the leadership, right? He's the guy that's been in the biggest game, arguably in NBA history. He's the guy that's been in all these different closeout situations with all this different playoff experience this late in the season. And I think for him to be in the space personally, to be able to put that professionally on display is the reason why his team is in the situation that they're in right now.
He's so good that I think half the reason that people look at Darius Garland in a different light is because you watch Kyrie Irving.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And, you look at both point guards, young point guards, and, that you kind of compare them because, people talk about, the LeBron James shadow. The Kyrie Irving shadow is loud and is crazy too. Like when you watch Kyrie Irving be able to finish and shoot the way he does and 90% from the free throw line and he's still giving you almost 40% from three. And he's everything that you watch as a guard, like from Allen Iverson to Isaiah Thomas to Steph Curry, like to Chris Paul. He has an aspect of all of that. And so sometimes when you see him play like that, you just be like, man, this is.
By the way, G, are George Niang and Dean Wade in the Kevin Love shadow?
No.
Hey, to that point though, I thought it was the most disrespectful thing in the world when they let Colin Sexton come in here and wear number 2 like that. Because I get it, Kyrie forced his way out, and I think a lot of what the situation is with Kyrie is Kyrie go against the grain, right? He makes people uncomfortable, and when you're somebody that's comfortable making others uncomfortable because you're being your authentic self, that rub people the wrong way. And the only reason I bring that up is because Kevin Love didn't want to be here no more either. You didn't see them handing number 0 off to nobody, did you?
Hey, I'm gonna tell you.
You see what I'm saying? They ain't go handing number 0 off to nobody.
Listen, when I'm rooting for, here's what it is. I'm as vitriol as any other person. When you say you don't want to be here, like if you my girlfriend and we break up, you can't tell me what I could do. I don't like you. I want all my stuff back. I don't want your jersey.
I don't know. I don't think nobody should
retire his number.
I don't think nobody should have been able to wear number 2.
Oh no! I'm giving out 2 and 0. I gave 23 out too when LeBron.
No, they didn't.
The guy.
No, they didn't.
I'm saying in my mind.
Oh,
in
my
my mind,
forced his way out and basically ended the team's championship run.
He still hit the biggest shot in finals history, team history, and probably
forced
NBA
his
history.
way out. He ended on a bad note.
That's cool, but I think
the Kevin Love comparison is not a good one though.
No, the reason why I'm bringing that
up
up though is because of who Kevin Love is as a person.
Yeah,
like they didn't have those type of issues, but because Kyrie rubbed people wrong, I think it was.
Yeah, but
it was a little
first of all,
different
we
there.
don't know that. If somebody wanted, nobody wants to wear 0.
But to say like he shouldn't have his he hit the biggest shot ever.
That's now. But you can't also as a man and Dan Gilbert being like, look, I made you the first overall pick. I gave you a max deal.
You won a championship.
We won a championship together, and for you to say that already in the parade, you was thinking about leaving.
Yeah.
As a man, as an owner, you hurt too. Like,
and
dang,
he dissed
bro.
Cleveland on the way out.
Man,
So,
dang.
Again, I don't care about all that. All I know is this city had never won a championship before.
Yeah.
Kyrie hit the shot that made us NBA champions. That's the bottom line.
I hear you.
That's the bottom line.
He wasn't the biggest piece on that team, though.
Well, of course, LeBron James was. Everybody knows that.
I wonder if anyone asked for 0. I think that could
Right,
be part of it
that's
too.
what I'm
Like,
saying.
I don't know.
No, people wear 0. The young cats wear 0.
If somebody asked for 0, I'm sure they'd give it to
Yeah,
him.
No, they're not.
I think so too.
I doubt
think
they will.
would. Why would they not?
Kobe Altman has said that he wouldn't let nobody else wear 0.
Well, he's a dope for saying that.
I know
would
Colin
let
Sexton
somebody
wore
wear
2 in college. That had been his number, so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
bet you that's part of it. But back
We got to move on. We
got
got
Aditi
Aditi with us, so
Awesome.
we'll move